Grr. Hey dolls, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, the Suet Puddin' with another makeup and movies. This time we are going to be talking about the fantastic, classic, if you haven't seen this, you must be dead inside film Sunset Boulevard. And today's makeup is a fabulous makeup company that I've been using for a few years now from England. It's a fantastic indie brand called Arttitude. They just released their Maneater palette. They also had a brush collection duo offer. So I'm on a no-buy for 2023, as many of you know, and I haven't bought any makeup this year until I saw this come out. And it came out just before my birthday, and I thought, screw it. I'm getting myself some new makeup. And the reason that I love Arttitude, one of the reasons is their Color Splash palette is fantastic for drag. This is a great drag palette. The black is excellent. All these colors, there's a shimmer for each color that's in here. This is an excellent drag palette. If you're looking for a palette that's not too much to carry around, it's not got every color in the world, this is excellent. I highly recommend it. So I'm going to be taking this out for a test spin. Now, I need to be honest here. This is my third time filming this part of the video. I had some technical issues. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. I'm not that person. If I were that person, I'd make more money in my life. But so this is my third time doing. So I have used this palette already, and I'm very impressed with it. I just need to say it is right up there with the standard that is Arttitude. Just one thing, my black in here, as you can see, broke en route. And Rux, the owner of Arttitude, is replacing it. Like, she is such a conscientious business owner. And so I'm thrilled that that's happening. I didn't ask her to. I was all right with it being broken, because things kind of happen sometimes. I can still use the black. But the irony is this is the best black ever. And it got over everything. I am still washing it out of stuff. Like, it will not go away. It is the best black. If you buy this palette for one thing and one thing only, it should be for this black. It is called Wanted, and it truly is. In fact, all of the colors in here, this is a very green heavy palette, which is right up my wheelhouse. Some nice browns in there, some good shimmers. So we're going to be giving that a run. The brush set, 18 brushes. Did I need new brushes? No. I've actually been using the Trixie Mattel pink brush collection and the Sweet Shop collection. They're excellent. This brush set has 18 brushes, and there's quite a few. Like, there's a great kabuki brush. I haven't used this because I use a sponge for my foundation. I have used some of these powders already. They're excellent. This one I used for blush. I don't know if that's what it's for, but excellent. I used this one for a highlighter. It's excellent. And then all of these brushes here. Now, one of the things that's interesting about these brushes for me is that they're long. This is how long I like my brushes. Very short. I don't like a lot of play on my brushes. So one of the things I like about this brush set is I don't have these shapes in my collection. So it's excellent. Like, there's, that's a typical brush for me, around a packer, smudger. Same with this, it's fuller. Oh, I love a pencil brush, but I think this one's a lip brush. And then there's an angle brush and then a flat brush that I love these two. These are great for eyebrows and underlining and things like that. But the rest of them, as I say, are swishy. They are all, oh, this is one from the, Arttitude also does a fantastic graphic liner palette. Mine's here somewhere under something. It's under something and I can't find it, but it is an excellent palette. I'm going to put a picture of it up here. And when I got that palette, Rux sent me a bunch of brushes along with it, which I was very appreciative of. Now, because I broke my no-buy for my birthday with this palette, Rux also sent me some false eyelashes. Now, these are Daywalker lashes. These are for daywalkers. You just stick them on your upper lash and away you go. So I'm going to be using them on my lower lash line because the look I'm doing today is going to be very 1920s silent film inspired, in keeping with the theme that surrounds Sunset Boulevard. So I'm actually going to go with Angel, which are more dramatic. That's Angel, and this is Princess. And Princess is just a little more demure. Oh, I also, Lar D'Souza, the brilliantly talented Lar D'Souza, who's done a lot of my t-shirt designs over the years, God bless him, a while back, like I think a year ago, this is how awful a person I am. He designed this shirt, which, let me just pull it all the way up. So this says Wilma Fingerdoo on it, but this is, if you know Sunset Boulevard, this is a spoof on the Sunset Boulevard poster, and he did this one as well, which is literally just for my makeup and movies. You see it says makeup and movies right there. These are available on my Redbubble page, in my Redbubble store. But this is the official Makeup and Movies t-shirt. I love this. I think it's gorgeous. I don't know why it took me so long to put it up online. So please, if you're looking for a new summer tank top or a t-shirt or a mug, they also have travel mugs, visit my Redbubble shop. The link is down below in the description box. I am going to prime my eyes with Juvia's Place primer. All right. So I'm going to take... Also, I just want to say none of the brushes that I have from Arttitude are numbered. I found that was the same with Trixie Mattel. When I got her first set of brushes, none of the numbers were stamped on them. They have since, if you order her brushes now, they have numbers on them, and I'm sure that'll be the case with Arttitude's brushes. But I don't care that they don't have names or numbers, because I'm not that person. It's like, well, this is this brush, and it must be used for this. That brush looks like it might do what I need it to do, so I'm going to use that. All right, so I'm going to start, I'm going to do like a 1920s halo eye, just very basic, but I'm going to use the greens in here, and I'm going to start with a Nocturnal, which is this bluey green right here. It's really quite nice. Let me start off by saying Sunset Boulevard should be considered standard viewing for all drag queens, especially the new baby queens out there lip-syncing their hearts out and death-dropping for tips. Personally, I feel there are a slew of black and white films that should be must-sees for the drag community, but Sunset Boulevard tops that list for sure. That said, I had never seen this movie before doing this episode of Makeup and Movies. I know, I'm as shocked as you are. The film noir of the cinematography, the subtle comedy as it pokes fun at the Hollywood machine, the fact that Gloria Swanson's hands are practically supporting actors, this film should be as important to gay culture as the Super Bowl is to sports fans. Something that makes this film unique is that its male lead is a kept man, wink wink, a topic that was touched on in Mildred Pierce in 1945 and Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1961. It's also one of those rare films where art imitates life by leaning on the tremendous real-life career of its leading lady to support the backstory of its fictional star. Sunset Boulevard is film noir at its finest. Released in 1950 by Paramount Pictures, it was directed by William Wilder, who co-wrote the screenplay with Charles Brackett and D.M. Marshman Jr. In fact, their work won them the 1951 Oscar for Best Screenplay. So, what's this movie about, you ask? Well, basically, it's about a mediocre writer who's at the end of his rope, who ends up working for a faded silent film star who's written the script that will bring her back to the silver screen. But his desire to write his own work leads him to the office and heart of a script reader. Bing, bang, boom, the silent screen star finds out about it and ends up shooting him as he leaves her. But it's so much more than that, trust me. Now I'm going to take another fluffy brush, and I'm going to take Wild, which is this lighter green. Just blend out what I've done. For starters, the film opens with a group of police officers and photographers standing over a dead body floating in a pool. It's the body of failed screenwriter Joe Gillis. How do we know this, you ask? Well, a voiceover of the deceased introduces itself to us and, in flashback, shares the events that lead up to this moment. Trust me, it's brilliant. Joe tells us that just 6 months earlier, he was trying to outdrive some men who were determined to repossess his car, but when Joe's car blows a tire, he ducks into a driveway of a seemingly deserted mansion on Sunset Boulevard. It's actually owned by forgotten silent film star Norma Desmond. When she learns that Joe's a writer, she asks him to look at a script she has written for her return to the screen, Salome. Of course, the script sucks, but Joe needs money, so he agrees to her requests to hire him as a script doctor. Well, Joe moves into Norma's mansion immediately to work with her and realizes that she refuses to accept that her fame has dwindled. On New Year's Eve, when Joe finds out Norma has fallen in love with him, he tries to let her down gently, but it ends up with Norma slapping his face and running to her room crying. So dramatic. Right, now I'm going to go in with this rounded Packer smudger, and I am going to take Jungle, which is this color here. Now I still can't really tell. I think that that's got like a satin finish to it. Yeah, it's got a bit of a satin finish. It's not a shiny finish, but it's a good finish. Joe leaves the mansion to be with people his own age and runs into Paramount Studios script reader, Betty, who feels an old script of his has promise. Her offer to help him with the script and the prospect of selling a script is all the encouragement Joe needs to break free of Norma Desmond's grasp. But when he phones Max to have him pack his things, Max tells him Norma has cut her wrists with his razor. Out of guilt, Joe returns to Norma, and in their reconciliation scene, it's blatantly suggested that their relationship becomes non-platonic. Wink, wink. Bum, bum, bum. Max! In the interim, Norma starts getting calls from Paramount Studios and thinks they've heard about her plans to return to the screen, but refuses to speak to anyone but her favorite director, Cecil DeMille. Eventually, she has Max drive her and Joe to Paramount in her 1929 Isolta Frascini, where Max learns that Paramount only wants to rent her vintage car for a film. While they're there, Joe runs into the script girl Betty again. She talks him into working with her on his script rewrite. As Norma prepares for her imagined comeback, Joe starts working on his script at Betty's office secretly at night. Max finds out he's been moonlighting by catching him returning from his midnight riding rendezvous. During their confrontation, Max tells Joe that not only was he once a respected film director who discovered Norma and made her a star, that he was also her first husband. After she divorced him, he abandoned his career to become her servant. Eventually, Norma discovers the manuscript with Joe's and Betty's name on it and phones Betty, insinuating that Joe is not the man he seems. Joe interrupts the call and invites Betty to the mansion to see what kind of man he is for herself. When she arrives, he pretends he is satisfied being a kept man. However, after she tearfully leaves, he packs for a return to his old Ohio newspaper job. He bluntly informs Norma there will be no comeback, the studio only wanted to rent her car, her fan mail comes from Max, and she has been forgotten. He disregards Norma's threat to kill herself with the gun she has, and as he leaves the house, Norma shoots him 3 times, and he falls into the pool, dead. The flashback ends, the house is filled with police and reporters. Norma, having lost touch with reality amid her arrest, believes the newsreel cameras are there to film her as Salome. Max and the police play along to get her out of the house quietly. Norma descends her grand staircase and makes an impromptu speech about how happy she is to be making a film again, ending with the film's iconic line, "All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up." Actually, not only is that the most famous line in the movie, it's also one of the most misquoted movie lines of all time. The movie's line, "All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up," is how it goes. But it's usually said as, "I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille." And they're wrong. Actually, this film is packed with fabulous lines, mostly said by Norma. 2 of my favorite are, "We didn't need dialogue, we had faces." And the other is, "I am big, it's the pictures that got small." All right, I'm going to take this first brush that I used, which was the flat Packer smudger, and I'm going into Wanted, which is this gorgeous black. The film's director is Billy Wilder, an Austrian-American filmmaker whose career in Hollywood spanned 5 decades. He is regarded as one of the most brilliant and versatile filmmakers of classic Hollywood cinema. He was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Director 8 times, winning twice, and for a Screenplay Academy Award 13 times, winning 3. In the 1950s, Wilder directed and co-wrote a string of critically acclaimed films, including Sunset Boulevard, for which he won his 2nd Screenplay Academy Award. Ace in the Hole in 1951, Stalag 17 in 1953, and Sabrina in 1954. Wilder directed and co-wrote 3 films in 1957, including The Spirit of St. Louis, Love in the Afternoon, and Witness for the Prosecution. Wilder directed Marilyn Monroe in 2 films, The 7-Year Itch in 1955 and Some Like It Hot in 1959. In 1960, Wilder co-wrote, directed, and produced the critically acclaimed film The Apartment with Shirley MacLaine and Jack Lemmon. It won Wilder Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay. He actually made 7 films with Jack Lemmon, including Irma la Douce, which also starred Shirley MacLaine in 1963. Wilder directed 14 actors in Oscar-nominated performances, so he's probably pretty good at telling people what to do. Okay, so now I'm going to take my P. Louise base, Rumor Zero, which is very, very white, and this is the other eye primer I like to use. Getting near the end of it. I'm on a no-buy. Kill her! Anyway, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that on this flat brush from Arttitude, running that down the middle of my eye. Sunset Boulevard stars William Holden as Joe Gillis, for which he was nominated for his Oscar. William Holden was one of the biggest box office draws of the 50s. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for the film Stalag 17 in 1953 and the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in the television miniseries The Blue Knight in 1973. Holden starred in some of Hollywood's most popular and critically acclaimed films, including Sabrina, Picnic, Bridge on the River Kwai, Born Yesterday with fellow Oscar winner Billie Holiday, The Wild Bunch, and Network in 1976, for which he was nominated for his 3rd Oscar. On February 7, 1955, Holden appeared as a guest star on I Love Lucy as himself. That's the episode where Lucy lights her fake nose on fire. I am going to start with this very, very dark shimmer. It is called Maneater. This is the signature shade from the palette. Maneater. Montgomery Clift was signed to play Joe Gillis for $5,000 a week, 12 weeks guaranteed. But before the start of the filming, he withdrew from the project. His given reason was that the affair between a young man and an older woman was too similar to what he'd done in The Heiress. But the real reason may have been Clift's off-camera relationship with older singer Libby Holman. The story was that she felt the movie would be seen as a mockery of their romance and that she threatened to kill herself unless Clift quit. Clift biographers say it was because he had a strong following among older women who wrote him letters describing how they'd like to mother him, and he didn't want to encourage such behavior. Wilder tried and failed to get Fred MacMurray, who he'd worked with in Double Indemnity, and Gene Kelly. He also hired Marlon Brando to replace him, but the Broadway star had never made a film before. His screen debut in The Men was still more than a year away. Eventually, contract player William Holden got the part, which made him an A-list star. Holden was enthusiastic about the script and eager to accept the role. He did not know at the time that his salary of $39,000, which would be about $500,000 today, was much less than they had offered to Clift. In fact, Clift's salary would have been $10,000 or more than Gloria Swanson's. There you go. Now I'm going to go into Endangered, which is this gorgeous light green, chartreusey green. Gloria Swanson was Norma Desmond. She first achieved fame acting in dozens of silent films in the 1920s, many directed by Cecil B. DeMille. In 1923, she starred in Zaza, and in 1925, she was the lead in Madame Sans-Gêne. Also in 1925, Swanson joined United Artists as one of the film industry's pioneering women filmmakers. She produced and starred in the 1928 film Sadie Thompson, earning her a nomination for Best Actress at the first annual Academy Awards. Her sound film debut performance in 1929's The Trespasser earned her a second Academy Award nomination. At the time, Swanson was considered the most bankable star of the era. After almost 2 decades in front of the camera, her film success waned during the 30s. Swanson received renewed praise for her return to the screen in Sunset Boulevard, but only made 3 more films and guest starred on several television shows. She also acted in road productions of stage plays. And then the final thing I'm going to do is go with Untamed, which is this light shimmer. And I just want to put that just at the top. According to Brackett, Wilder and he never considered anyone except Gloria Swanson for the role of Norma Desmond. However, Wilder says he first wanted Mae West for the lead, but she wanted to rewrite her dialogue because, well, she was a writer, which was a non-starter for Wilder, who seldom let his actors change their lines even slightly from what was on the page. It's probably just as well, since the darker, more nuanced story that eventually emerged was quite different from West's wheelhouse anyway. According to Mae West, she rejected the offer outright because she was offended that she would be asked to play a Hollywood has-been. They also approached silent era stars as Mary Pickford, Paula Negri, and even Greta Garbo, but all of them turned down the role of Norma Desmond. They then reached out to Clara Bow, the famous it girl of the 20s, but she had no interest in returning to the film industry again because of how hard it was for her to transition to talkies. She'd much prefer to remain in seclusion with her husband and sons. They also offered the part to Norma Shearer, but she rejected the role due to both her retirement and distaste of the script. According to Wilder, he asked George Cukor, the director of The Women, A Star is Born, My Fair Lady, for advice, and he suggested Swanson, one of the most feted actresses of the silent screen era. Swanson was not happy at the notion of being submitted to a screen test, saying she had made 20 films for Paramount. Why do they want me to audition? Her reaction was echoed in the screenplay when Norma Desmond declares, "Without me, there wouldn't be any Paramount Studios." In her memoir, Swanson recalled asking Cukor if it was unreasonable to refuse the screen test. He replied that since Norma Desmond was the role for which she would be remembered, if they ask you to do 10 screen tests, do 10 screen tests, or I will personally shoot you. Clearly, that changed her mind. Okay, so now I'm going to do my eyebrows. These are 1920 eyebrows. These are very, very different. They're not like arched, and they almost were the opposite. They angled down. A lot of eyebrows went straight across and then down. I'm going to do kind of like a straight across and down one. I'm using just a Maybelline pencil, sharpenable pencil. For the role of Betty Schaefer, Wilder wanted a newcomer who could project a wholesome and ordinary image to contrast with Swanson's flamboyant and obsessive Desmond, which is why he cast Nancy Olsen. It was her third film at the time. She co-starred with William Holden in 4 films and later appeared in The Absent-Minded Professor in 1961 and its sequel, Son of Flubber in 1963. She also appeared alongside Haley Mills in Pollyanna in 1960 and Dean Jones in Snowball Express in 1972. As well as the disaster film Airport 1975, which reunited her with Gloria Swanson. Also retired from acting in the mid-80s, but she did make a few rare returns, most recently in 2014. They're not my eyebrows, they feel weird. It looks weird, it is weird. Just gonna put my beauty mark on while I'm thinking about it. Erich von Stroheim, a leading director from the 1920s who had actually directed Gloria Swanson, was signed to play Max, Norma's faithful servant, protector, and former husband. The actor turned director turned actor again, who had indeed been one of the great silent filmmakers, winced at playing a character so self-referential and demeaning, but he needed the money. He called it that goddamn butler role for the remaining 7 years of his life, blessed. Sunset Boulevard also featured a bunch of celebrities playing themselves. Cecil B. DeMille agreed to do his cameo for $10,000 and a brand new Cadillac. When Billy Wilder went back to him later to secure a close-up, DeMille charged him another $10,000. Norma Desmond's friends who play bridge with her, aka the Waxworks, were actually Swanson's contemporaries. They included comedy legend Buster Keaton, Anna Nilsson, and H.B. Warner. Hedda Hopper also played herself, reporting on Norma Desmond's downfall in the film's final scene. I'm going to take my NYX Epic pen, just throw a line across my... The interiors of Norma Desmond's mansion were actually a set at Paramount Studios, but the exterior shots were of a house located at Irving and Wilshire Boulevard. It was built in 1924 by William Jenkins at a cost of $250,000. Its second owner was Jean-Paul Getty, who purchased it for his second wife. Mrs. Getty divorced her millionaire husband and received custody of the house. It was she who rented it to Paramount for the filming. Also at the time, the house didn't have a pool, so Paramount paid to have one installed on the condition that if Mrs. Getty didn't like it, they'd remove it after filming was over. She liked it. The mansion was torn down in 1957 and replaced by a gas station. It has since been replaced by an office building, but before that happened, it appeared in Rebel Without a Cause as the abandoned mansion in which the kids hang out. This is Krylon Super Color. It's just a white. I like to use this around my eyes. I'm using an Arttitude eyeliner pen for this, actually, which you can get on their website. And I'm going to do my eye now. Norma's leopard upholstered car was a real Isotta Fraschini, an exotic Italian auto that had been a popular choice among the silent film royalty and once belonged to 1920s socialite Peggy Hopkins Joyce. It was a gift from her lover, automobile magnate Walter Chrysler. The script called for von Stroheim to drive it into the Paramount lot, but he didn't know how to drive. The car was towed by a truck hidden outside of the camera range instead. Even so, von Stroheim accidentally steered it into the Paramount gate. After the shoot, the car ended up back in Italy in an automotive museum in Turin. I'm just using some Mayron. I put it in an air-spun container because I didn't like the size of the Mayron white powder, but this is just white setting powder. And then I'm going to use this just to set the whites on my eyes with the same brush. All the photos of the young Norma Desmond that decorate the house are all genuine publicity photos from Gloria Swanson's heyday. In her private screening room with butler Max running the projector, Norma cuddles up to Joe to watch one of her own films. The footage we see is from Queen Kelly, 1929, which starred Gloria Swanson and was directed by Max himself, Erich von Stroheim. According to Billy Wilder, it was von Stroheim's idea to use a clip from Queen Kelly in Sunset Boulevard as a way of art imitating life. Queen Kelly nearly ruined both of their careers. Von Stroheim was replaced as director midway through after complaints from Swanson about the racy material and arguments with the producer, JFK's father, over the spiraling budget. An ending for the film was cobbled together, but the movie was never shown in the U.S. The clips in Sunset Boulevard were the first American audiences had seen of it. For Swanson, whose career was already being threatened by the advent of talkies, Queen Kelly was another blow. Still, whatever hard feelings there may have been between Swanson and von Stroheim, they were gone by the time Sunset Boulevard came along. All right, I'm going to take this angled brush now from the Arttitude collection, and I'm going to go in to Jungle, which is the mid-tone green there. And I'm going to put this. Worried about interference from both Paramount's executives and the production code censors, Wilder told everyone he was making a comedy called Can of Beans and submitted the script a few pages at a time. Because of that, the Paramount executives allowed Wilder relative freedom to make this film. In fact, only the first third of the script was written when filming began in early May of 1949, and even Wilder didn't know how the film would end. This is that flat brush I used for the primer on my eyelids. I just wiped the primer off. I'm just going back into Wanted, the black on here. And Sunset Boulevard is actually partially inspired by an Evelyn Waugh novel. The Loved One was published in 1948 after he had visited Hollywood observing the film industry and, of all things, the funeral industry. The book is about a failed screenwriter who works for a cemetery and lives with a forgotten silent film star. Wilder and his co-writers revised several elements, and there was no official connection between the movie and Waugh's novel. Sunset Boulevard's cinematographer John Seitz said Wilder had wanted to do The Loved One but couldn't obtain the rights. And gossip columnist Hedda Hopper, who appears in the movie as herself, wrote that Billy Wilder was crazy about Evelyn Waugh's book, The Loved One, and the studio wanted to buy it. So these are Arttitude's Angel Lashes. They're very small. I think these would make great regular lashes. I don't think anyone would even know you had false eyelashes on. They're just so nice and contained. But I am a drag queen. These need to go on my lower lid. So I use Weave Bond to put my eyelashes on. And the reason I do that is because drag lashes are very heavy. Here's just a comparison for you. There. All right, so this is a regular lash. This is one of my custom lashes that I make myself. Like, night and day. Like, look at that. See the difference? There we go. In Hollywood, Paramount arranged a private screening for the various studio heads and specially invited guests. Swanson later remembered looking for Mary Pickford, only to be told She can't show herself, Gloria. She's too overcome. We all are. Louis B. Mayer, on the other hand, berated Wilder before the crowd of celebrities, saying, "You have disgraced the industry that made and fed you." Upon hearing this, Wilder went up to Mayer and simply said, "Go f*** yourself." Yep, there she is. Wilder and Brackett, nervous about a major screening in Hollywood, held a preview in Evanston, Illinois in late 1949. The original edit opened with a scene inside a morgue with the assembled corpses discussing how they came to be there. The story began with the corpse of Joe Gillis recounting his murder to the others. The audience reacted with laughter and seemed unsure whether to view the rest of the film as drama or comedy. After a similar reaction during its second screening in Poughkeepsie, New York, and a third in Great Neck, the morgue opening was replaced by a shorter poolside opening using footage filmed on January 5th, 1950. As we now know, Sunset Boulevard begins with police cars racing to Norma Desmond's house where a dead body is floating in the pool and viewed from beneath. But putting a camera underwater to get the shot was too difficult at the time because the proper equipment hadn't been invented yet. So Wilder and cinematographer John Seitz came up with a brilliant solution. They put a mirror on the bottom of the pool and filmed the reflection from above. Okay, so now I'm going to do highlighter. I'm going to use that brush from Arttitude's collection. I'm also going to use from Kaleidos. This is called Mars Melter. It is a highlighter, but it's red. It's very orangey red, like fiery. And I like that on my cheeks because it doesn't, it keeps them kind of in a natural glow state. I also like to put setting spray on just to give the highlighter something to stick to. I like to just put that right on the apples of my cheek. Daryl F. Zanuck, Olivia de Havilland, Tyrone Power, and Samuel Goldwyn all refused to allow their names to be used in the film, but Wilder decided to use Zanuck's and Power's names anyway. Oddly enough, the reclusive Greta Garbo granted permission to use her name, though when she saw the film itself, she was sorry she had done so. She felt that Wilder had used her name in a past tense context and was offended. And then, one of my new favorite highlighters, let me just get some of this up, is from P. Louise. This is Hollywood Hills, and it is a gorgeous, yellowy, champagne-y color highlighter. Put that up there and bring it right into where the cheek is. I like to put my highlighter on first because then it gives the illusion of that glow coming from within as opposed to lying on top of other powders. I also like to just do that. Get my button nose done. Get that. Sunset Boulevard had its official world premiere at Radio City Music Hall on August 10th, 1950, where it set a non-Hollywood all-time house box office record of $166,000. After a 7-week run, Variety magazine reported the film had grossed around $1,020,000, making it one of the theater's most successful pictures. Variety also noted that while it was breaking records in major cities, it was doing below average in the sticks. To promote the film, Gloria Swanson traveled by train through the United States, visiting 33 cities in a few months. The publicity helped attract people to the cinema, but in many areas away from major cities, it was still considered less of a hit. It returned $2.5 million in its initial American run. Not enough to make a profit, but ultimately returned $5 million by 1960, when it was played in theaters all over the world. Now I'm taking the Juvia's Place Bronzer Duo. This is their Deep Dark one. There's 4, I think. And the reason I got this one is this is a very cool brown. It's great for contour. And then this bronzer is a nice warmer contour that I like to use up top. So, I don't know. I guess I'll use this brush. So the first thing I do is I just go into that lighter color. And I just like to, just at the top of my cheeks here, back, but I like to bring it forward just a little, that brown, just to warm up my face. And then this I also use up here on my forehead, just for this forehead contour, just to give it warmth. Bronzer should always go where the sun is hitting you the most. And then I take the darker one on the same brush, then I pinch the bristles just so I can get right back in there. So you can create that. And again, I don't want this coming too far forward, but I do want it to blend out that cheek. See, I don't want a line here, but I want the suggestion of the line starting back here. Sunset Boulevard cost $1.6 million to make, and it returned $2.5 million in its initial American run, which would be an equivalent to $25 million today. Still not as much as films today make, but then it certainly didn't cost what films today cost. Suck on that, CGI. And then I am going to use the Beauty Bakery Queen of Tarts blush trio. I'm only going to use these two colors. This is a very beautiful pink, reddy, rich pink. And then this is more purple. You can see this is a redder tone, but the purple tone I want to create depth. So I'm going to go in with the light one first. And again, I like to start back here and bring it forward. Just as circular motions. Also, in the 20s, blush was up high, right up under the eyelid. I don't know why. I don't know what it was about blush that they wanted it up that high, but that was the trend, up high. Despite the initial outrage from Hollywood insiders, the Academy recognized the film's artistry and nominated it for 11 Oscars, including all 4 acting roles, but only won 3. That one for writing, best art direction and set direction for a black and white film, and best scoring of a dramatic or comedy picture, which went to Franz Waxman, and rightly so. The film's score has that dramatic silent movie film feel about it that drives the storyline as much as the actors do. And then I go in with the darker one, and then I just do it below. According to Gloria Swanson's daughter, Michelle Farmer Amon, her mother stayed in character throughout the entire shoot, even speaking like Norma Desmond when she arrived home in the evening after filming. On the last day of shooting, Swanson drove back to the house she, her mother, and daughter shared during production, announcing there were only 3 of us in it now, meaning that Norma Desmond had taken her leave. I'm sure everyone was relieved. I'm also going to take this little lip brush that came with the Arttitude collection. I'm going back into this bronzier of the 2 colors. I'm just going to redefine my nose contour. You've probably heard about the Andrew Lloyd Webber version of Sunset Boulevard that premiered in London in 1993 and headed to Broadway in 1994 with Glenn Close in the lead role. But attempts to turn the movie into a stage musical began almost immediately, spearheaded by none other than Gloria Swanson. With unofficial permission from Paramount, she worked for a few years with writer Dixon Hughes and actor Richard Stapley, developing a show called Starring Norma Desmond, later changed to Boulevard. But in 1957, Paramount formally asked Desmond to stop. And then I like to take, this is one of my favorite products. It's from Be Perfect. It's Get Wild. It's a highlighter. It dries. It's like a cream to powder finish. But what it does is it literally just puts glitter on my cheeks. And I love that. So I like it to come up high here, under the eye there. Just adds that drama, mama. A few years later, Stephen Sondheim became interested in writing a musical version of his own, working with writer Bert Shevelove, with whom he ended up writing A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. But when Sondheim pitched the idea to Billy Wilder at a party, Wilder said, "You can't write a musical about Sunset Boulevard. It has to be an opera. After all, it's about a dethroned queen." Sondheim respectfully stopped work on the project and, on the same grounds, later declined an offer to write the score for a proposed movie remake. So I have this NYX black lip liner. I'm going to do a very dramatic, over-dramatic lip, very pointy. In On Sunset Boulevard, The Life and Times of Billy Wilder, Ed Sizoff relates a story about Wilder's explanation of the true meaning of the strange dead chimp scene from the start of the film. An older woman approached Wilder with a question about what that scene meant. Wilder's typically outrageous answer was, "Don't you understand? Before Joe Gillis came along, Norma Desmond was f***ing the monkey." I have to rewatch this film. That changes things. And then I'm taking from Ace Beauté. This is a fabulous lipstick I got in a mystery box. It is called... Hold on. Michael sent me... Oh, Best Life. It's called Best Life. As my eyes fall apart. This is... First of all, this packaging is so Norma Desmond, if you ask me. And then this lip color. There are no belly laughs in this film, but there are certainly some awkward giggles, like the pet chimp's midnight funeral, or Joe's discomfort at becoming a gigolo, and, well, almost every moment that Norma Desmond's on screen. Because of this, Wilder was often asked if his movie was a black comedy, and he replied famously, "No, it's just a picture." But I think it's perfect for Sunset Boulevard. Norma Desmond. Max! Sunset Boulevard was such a cultural hit that even Carol Burnett, known for her classic movie spoofs on the Emmy Award-winning Carol Burnett Show, reimagined it into one of her show's most popular sketches, Nora Desmond. Her impression of Norma Desmond as a wildly deranged caricature of the original, swathed in feathers and bellowing for Max, is hilarious whether you've seen Sunset Boulevard or not. Ooh, I think she's ready for, well, an outfit and a hat, so I'll be right back. Max! There we go. I just want to send a shout out to Eve Dupree Accessories. I have a link to them down below as well. Eve, I'm sure that that's her name. If it's not, I'm an idiot. But she was moving and had a bunch of these chapoxes that she just couldn't move with and asked if I wanted them. And, well, how could I say no? So anyway, this is I thought this one was perfect for a 1920s silent film look. Max! So this is the Maneater palette. This was the makeup for this month's makeup and movies. Arttitude Cosmetics is the place to get this. They sold out. They're doing a reorder. You can get in on the pre-order, like get your order in now, so when it comes back into stock, you get one. Also, the brush set, I think, sold out as well. That's available. These brushes, I have to say, you know, brushes are brushes. I've never used a brush and gone, what am I using? It's like butter. But they're not horrible brushes. If you don't need brushes, you don't need this brush set. I don't think that there's anything particularly unique about this brush set, but I did want, as I said, I didn't have these shapes. I really like Arttitude as a company, and it was my birthday, so I thought I'd treat myself. But that's the Arttitude Maneater bundle, at least with the brushes. You can go to their website. The link is down below. And the movie this month, Sunset Boulevard. I don't know how I lived this long without watching it. It is now one of my super favorite films to watch. I've watched it actually 4 or 5 times since my initial viewing, and I just think it is fantastic. There's enough tongue-in-cheekness about it that Billy Wilder's obviously poking fun at the film industry. There's a lot of actual film industry in the movie. It was also up against All About Eve, which was another industry film. They both were nominated heavily too. So the industry certainly likes it when the mirror is held up to their face. As I said, you can rent Sunset Boulevard from YouTube. if you don't have a streaming service or a copy of it on DVD. You could rent and or buy it, high definition, standard definition, right off of YouTube. The link for that is down below as well. I hope you enjoyed this version of Makeup and Movies. Don't forget that you can get my Makeup and Movies t-shirt, mug, whatever you want. Whatever this image can go on, it will go on a Redbubble product. And if you're there and you don't see something with this on it that you would like, just message me and I will make sure that it happens. But there you go. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you have a movie that you would like to see me review or talk about, or if you have makeup that you would like to see me use or talk about, leave me a note down below in the comments. While you're down there, please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I really appreciate it. Well, I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I'm about 1,500 away, and I have something planned for 10,000 to celebrate 10,000 subscribers. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. But there you go. That's this week's Makeup and Movies. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed giving it to you. You heard me. And until next time, miss me. Mwah. Seriously. All I want are close-ups. Max!
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.